The one thing I always learned, I told this once to Joe Louis, I said I never remembered a case in which the challenger didn't go into the ring in perfect condition. Now, certainly you're in great shape. You're about the same size as...
Greetings, people. I come in peace. Well, I like Fabio. He's a good enough fighter, but he was thoroughly outclassed last night. And I have to say, he was very fortunate, yes, lucky to get the win. Even he was surprised Huni dropped. Justice Huni got into his rhythm very quickly and was picking off Fabio at will. He had no respect for Fabio's power. He rode the shots, he blocked, he slipped, and immediately paid Fabio back for missing. He was slowly but surely putting Wardley into a shell. I think Fabio was just surprised with the lack of respect Huni had for his reputation as a puncher. Huni would lead off, change positions, avoid anything coming back, and go again. He was imposing himself at will and didn't give Fabio room to breathe. Huni seemed to have a little bit of contempt for Fabio. Wardley looked very dangerous for the first few rounds and hurt Huni. I can't remember what round it was. I think it was round 3. Fabio threw the kitchen sink at him, hoping for an early night. However, Huni was able to ride out the storm and come back onto a temporarily depleted Wardley. Wardley had put so much into that salvo, hoping to get Huni out of there. But to the end of the round, Huni was back into his groove and beating Wardley up. I think Wardley's used to getting rid of people or weakening them sufficiently that he can bully them. Huni didn't lose a step. Anytime Wardley had some success, Huni would come back and retrieve it. Huni's high guard against Fabio's low guard played a huge part in the way the fight was going. Fabio had a Roy Jones-esque swinging low left hand. Why? Against Justice Huni, who has quicker hands and feet, it was obvious that Huni's right hand would land regularly, yet Fabio didn't adjust. I don't understand it. These are heavyweights that like to act like slick welterweights. They don't have the reflexes, the speed, to get their hands up in time. And they don't have the luxury to take a few. The repercussions of a leaky, punctured defense are catastrophic. The fundamentals, guys. And once again, I didn't hear Fabio's corner tell him to keep his hand closer to his chin. The fact that you have to tell a boxer that beggars belief. Isn't it a natural instinct to be cautious and put your hands up? Especially if you've been hit a few times. I would have thought that was enough motivation to make the penny drop. Where's the independent thought? What do they do in training camp? Are they sticking to a game plan? Or they're focusing on looking more relaxed? I don't know. It's the same as AJ against Dubois. Keep your ruddy hands up. What is Ben Davison doing? I like the way he breaks down fights in interviews. He's really good. But I think he's overly fixated on the minutiae, the fiddle-faddle, the froth, being too clever. Instead of giving his fighters clear, basic, cardinal, crucial and fundamental instructions, he micromanages them into oblivion. Ironically, it was Justice Huni who in the 10th round got so comfortable, so casual and nonchalant that he tangoed, salsaed and waltzed himself into a huge right hand. He was enjoying himself so much that the complacency got the best of him, and he dropped his own left hand and paid the ultimate price. Well done, Wardley, but a good fighter will take advantage of his low left hand and leaky defense. He has character, grit, and a punch, and I think he's decent all around, but what we've got to acknowledge is that a boxer with speed, skill, and power will be his undoing. He's shown his levels, and last night he was exposed. In my eyes, he didn't win a round. You could be generous and give him the third. Well, that would be 1 round. And if the fight went on, he looked like he was going to be stopped. And Carl Frampton's scorecard? No. At the start of the 10th, I could tell Fabio had got his venom back into his punches. It wasn't there for a while. It was sapped by all the punishment he was taking to the body and head. He was weakened and hurt, but he mustered the character, the moxie, to deliver the spiteful punch when needed. You can't knock him for that. That's what he's there for. But it was lucky. Huni opened the door for him. I was a lot more impressed by Huni than I was with Fabio. On paper, Fabio has a clean sheet, but that doesn't tell half the story. Fabio will be relieved, but he knows for the first time he was leagues below Huni. Conversely, Huni knows he was untouchable and was boxing his way to a shutout or even a knockout until his mistake, lapse, blunder gave Wardley the chance a big puncher should never be given. Justice Huni in that single fight showed any up-and-coming boxer what to do and what not to do. Hopefully they both learn from this and come again. By the way, why did the camera cut away to the crowd when the ref was counting? All of a sudden it cut back and the ref was waving the fight off. I didn't see the count. I think he didn't make enough noise and seemed to accept it. Weird really. All he had to do was dance for a couple of rounds and he would have won easily. He had 9 rounds in the bag. Wardley was tired. I think there was a minute left in a round. Wardley would have to have done something with that for a few salvos, but again, if he didn't get Huni out by the end of that round, he would have been thoroughly, completely depleted and would be supper for Huni. But we'll never know. Anyway, thanks for listening. Please subscribe if you like. And remember, choose life. Thank you.
The one thing I always learned, I told this once to Joe Louis, I said I never remembered a case in which the challenger didn't go into the ring in perfect condition. Now certainly you're in great shape. You're about the same size as Marciano, aren't you, in weight?
Right. Probably be a pound or two difference. I might be heavier than Marciano.
So it's an instance in which two men are going in completely evenly matched physically.
That's right.
You're both in great shape. You're both real professionals, so I'm going to wish you, as I wish Rocky when we left his training camp, the very best of luck.
Yeah.